Welcome everyone to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Unfortunately, she passed on 1/1/2020, but we started TogetherForSharon.com in her memory. Today's guests, and I love saying guests because it's now going to have the care partner side and somebody else who means the world to me. Both of you do, and it's been really an honor to know you. Just it's been a year, which is goes so by so quickly. We'll get to all that, but you two really not just make a big impact on the Parkinson community, but you really make an impact in the world. So it's just an honor to have you, Karl and Angela, here. It's I feel like we need a drum roll. I tried getting a sound effect machine, but it didn't work.
Well, thank you for having us, George.
It's a very nice introduction. Thank you, George.
And we feel the same way about you and all the work that you've
Yeah.
done in advocacy in honor of your mom. It's just absolutely amazing.
Nonstop. You've been working hard.
And we're eager followers of you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but the funny thing is, when people come to know me, I'm pretty quiet and shy, but when I find a journey like yours, I get not aggressive, but so excited because I just feel the only journey today that breaks my heart is the one that I'm not aware of. And when I become aware of such an incredible story like both of yours, I just want the world to know about it. Sometimes it might not come off because, you don't know me, but now you've known me for a while and you see, and we don't accept anything except that I'll be fighting, whether it's a hurricane, back surgeries or anything. It's just, to me, finding a cure is much more important, and nothing will literally stop me until we find a cure. So just want to start off today's show, maybe getting to know both of you for a moment. And then again, we have so much to share.
Well, my name's Karl Robb, and I live in Northern Virginia, and I've had Parkinson's going on over 40 years. I met this lady when I was fresh out of prison.
No.
Wait a minute, I'm a police officer, right?
That makes it even funnier when he tells that story.
The good news is I'm also an attorney, so I can put you in, take you out, and teach you.
On the serious side, as I said, I had Parkinson's 40 years, and I had a wonderful care partner in Angela. And we
you were diagnosed at
23,
but symptoms
at 17,
and you're now
25.
I thought you were 21. I was wrong.
Oh.
Thank you.
We don't edit on the show, but I might have to go back now.
The check is in the mail. How old are you really?
Well, I just turned 58, so yeah. But I'm still a 12-year-old.
8, actually. And I met Karl after his diagnosis. He was diagnosed in 1991, and I met him in 1995, actually online in an America Online chat room. And then a little over a year later, we were married. So we will be coming up on our 28th wedding anniversary in November.
Congratulations. My wife still makes fun of me for using an AOL email.
Thanks, George, for your patronage, although I don't do anything with them anymore.
Again, it's a beautiful story. I think anyone's journey is incredible. But then when you put together, I think, like a team, which both of you are, it's just even more incredible. So thanks, Angela, for what you do for Karl, and Karl, same thing back at you. Maybe you could talk for a moment to tell everyone. I always kind of confuse it, not myself anymore because I've studied it, but the difference between care partner, caregiver, caretaker. There's so many cares as long as we're all caring. I guess it's,
Right.
just quickly, because I just was always hoping that the listeners would understand.
Let me start.
Yeah, you start.
I think the term care partner is a reciprocal term, because and Angela looks after me. I try to look after her, and it's kind of I think
well, it was an agreement, really,
Yeah.
George, between us that yes, Karl lives with a chronic condition, but I have health conditions myself too. And as we age, which is one of the advocacy fields that we advocate on is that as you age with young onset, things even get more complicated, because now you're dealing not just with the progression of the Parkinson's, but you're also dealing with aging, which has its own set of, and some days it's hard to figure out, is it aging or Parkinson's? But so yeah, we care for each other. Although those the care shifts and changes, we are certainly partners in this, just as we're married partners. Caregiver, I in some ways, my personal opinion is that's, you know, when you're really actively caring for someone on a in-depth basis, you know, taking care of activities of daily living. And for the most part, Karl does most of those things for himself. You know, if his meds are off, maybe I do a little bit more, but then there's times I do a little bit less. So and caretaker, I don't even use that one, George. You know, that's one that I leave for the other professionals that are in that business of caretaking towards the end of life. But it's a care right now, care partners, because we care for each other.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I love the word care, so that's all that matters. Maybe you could talk a little bit now about, on the end of this, a little advice, but what has it been, you know, like through this journey, but having one another? My mother, unfortunately, was divorced. She was very independent, lived alone, very strong, independent woman. She kind of hid, we think, Parkinson's from us for many years. I heard of the word Parkinson. I didn't even know, unfortunately, for some time it was a disease. She only had, towards the last 5 years, stiffness in the left arm, which was the most noticeable. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the last 4 years just changed everything quickly. I don't, still to this day, you know, it would have been her birthday last Saturday. So it's kind of, I'm still grieving even 5 years later. But I was wondering if you could share a little bit about, you know, the journey, also having that amazing support. But again, you know that I'm here also for you anytime.
Thank you,
Oh,
John.
thank you,
That's very
George.
kind, George. Um, um, my diagnosis is a little different in some ways. This was pre-internet, so it was this is before I was really as I said, I was age 17. I was on the tennis team, and I noticed, I started noticing a twitch in my left foot, and didn't know what it was, and didn't really pay much attention to it until it became more progressive and more of a nuisance. And then I noticed dragging my foot, and posture issues, and my shoes are wearing unevenly, and it was my speech was getting worse. And then by I've seen some doctors, but no many had prognosis, no prognosis, or said you're fine, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, Karl was in college at the time. They actually told him to have a beer and chill out. They thought it was stress induced, but he was drinking some beer, but nothing was changing. It was getting worse all the time.
But no one wanted to make a diagnosis or even consider it was Parkinson's until I was 23 after college, and try my
Yeah, hold on.
Well, while you're drinking, because now I'm thirsty, but
Hydration is important.
I consider you both heroes of different reasons. Number one, as many know, it's not an easy disease to kind of tell people, even family, friends, work. Like my mother, we think for several years, didn't really want to tell us. I don't know if it's because of a late diagnosis or she didn't want to burden the family. But the reason I, again, admire both of you is you both are not just fighters of the disease, but big time advocates. And you decided to fight back like both of all of our hero, likely Michael J. Fox, who really didn't have to do what he does. He could have led a nice, quiet, I don't know if it would have been quiet. He's running around now at Comic-Con with Back to the Future, but you could have kind of led a private life, didn't have to kind of be a face of this fight for a cure and advocates. And that's, again, one of the things that I'm forever grateful from both of you, whether caregiver or someone diagnosed like my mother. It's not easy all the time, but you still continue to advocate and fight, and just admire both of you for that.
Oh, thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
That's very kind. I was sure I'm not having an internet or any kind of information. I was sure I had a brain tumor of some sort, and I didn't tell anyone what was going on in my head. But I gave myself 6 months to live, and I wasn't sure what it was. But I finally got 6 years and 9 different doctors. I finally got a diagnosis of Parkinson's, and I thought, well, I can live with it. It's not terminal. So I'll make the best of it and do what I can to live with it. And
that's kind of the spirit that I fell in love with Karl, was that he wasn't letting it, he was trying to, as an adult, or, being 23 years old, just trying to get your life started as an adult. That's a challenging time. And his attitude was tremendous. He wasn't a big fan of his job at the time, but he kept going to work and kept trying to find what was going to work for him. And eventually we decided jointly that he really should pursue some of his dreams, because we really didn't know exactly how long he would be living well with the condition. And so we moved up. He was an entrepreneur. He created some products, and then eventually got into the thing that, yes, exactly. That took a while to get there, George. That book the workbook didn't come out until after our 2012 book, A Soft Voice in a Noisy World. That was really the culmination of all his notes and his story. And the story is the first part of the book, and then kind of these short chapters on revelations about living well with the condition. And it took about a year to get the book published, and a lot of typing, because Karl had a lot of notes everywhere. It really was a secret plan for me to get him to culminate his notes into one place. That's what it was.
You first we did the blog.
Yeah, the blog came out in 2018 or 2008, and then the book came in 2012, and then that book came out in 2016. So it's been a progressive journey, but
we're hoping maybe more. We'll see.
So yeah, it's really difficult trying to figure out what your trajectory was, and we made a conscious decision not to have children. So this really is our passion and our in life.
And the book took 9 months. The book took 9 months to put together, without my 30 years of notes. So I figured that's like giving birth.
But I do. Congratulations on the books. I am always liking and sharing them. Actually, at this moment, just first wanted to start by thanking you both for this beautiful interview. If you go to TogetherForSharon.com, click interviews, you'll find 1,000 free interviews. And I did this because I just did, when I learned about your journey and so many others, felt that it had to be shared and had to be out there forever. So it's been amazing how quickly time's going, as you can see back in March. But this is where everyone can read a lot more about both of you, and also a lot of the work you're doing. There's also links on literally how to reach each book. And also the thing I'm amazed is a lot of the other resources in parkinsondisease.net, all the articles that you both put out and publish. I thought this was one of the most beautiful interviews because it also showed the side from both of you, which is important to me. I also wanted to let everyone know, if you go to media on TogetherForSharon.com, it's getting bigger and I can't find things half the time, but media and click books, you'll actually be able to go right directly to Karl's book and place an order, and everything goes directly to Karl. My dream is that no one should ever have to pay for medicines for Parkinson's. They should be paid by the government, if not at least through some of the support you might get. Here's one of the incredible books that I happen to be holding and had the opportunity to read. I'm really grateful for that. Something that's not just a book, it's something that can be practiced and practical and tips. And that's the most important thing. I'm a new author to the world of Parkinson's awareness, but not before. I publish a lot on the law and criminal justice, but being in this space, sharing it with you two, such an honor. And please, everyone, again, go to Amazon, type in dealing and healing with Parkinson's disease, and you'll be able to find both Karl and Angela's books, and please purchase and support them. Now I wanted to get a little bit into the newest book that you have beautifully depicted behind you. And maybe you could talk about, what you spoke a little bit about it, but maybe what kind of drove you from the notes all over the place to get it right into an organized, beautiful book that everyone out there, whether caregivers or someone diagnosed or just people in the world, really need to purchase?
Well, I felt like it's at the time when we did the blog, we kind of feel a need to at least to give people some hope and something positive. I've been to some support groups and they were like some of the support groups I had gone to were not led the way I wanted. I wanted to run. I wanted to run a support group, and I wanted something. I wanted to come back with a positive message and something that I could do to help myself. And I didn't feel like I was getting that from support groups. So I kind of with some of my notes that I wrote over the 30 years. Angela help me organize it because I'm not terribly organized.
Well, we really need to give Stephanie, the editor, the credit for organizing it. I just typed it up. That was it. Although I read it many times and we're part of the team that kind of brought it together. But really, George, it was about, back then there were some blogs that were written by people living with Parkinson's, but the community was not large. A lot of the writing that was in the community at that time was all from the foundations, which they provide amazing amount of work and information, whatever. But sometimes you just need to hear the voice of somebody who's walking the walk with you versus, going online and then finding out about the stages and all that. And it really needed to be said that, when you met one person with Parkinson's, you met one person with Parkinson's. Karl's journey isn't going to be like your mom's journey. It's not going to be like Bob's journey and all these other, people who are having all these journeys. So we really wanted to get the message out because there's so much to be gained by talking and knowing somebody who's living with the condition. That's really where the experts lie. People like Karl living with the disease. Can he prescribe you medications? No. But can he maybe give you some kind of gem or piece of wisdom of something that he's faced and how he looked at it with a different perspective so that it might help you find the perspective that works for you?
Yes. I think doctors are great and very helpful, but
we love a lot of them, and you've interviewed a lot of them, George.
but they're not living with the disease, and they're not living with you 24/7. And so in between those doctor visits, you need something you can work on, or something to grab onto
to find what works for you. Yeah. And I think it's one of those approaches by meeting lots of different people dealing with it in lots of different ways. Then you can create a way of coping with the condition, whether it's through exercise or music or art or
meditation,
Reiki, massage, Tai Chi, any of those things.
Staying social, right. Eating right, exercise, and
listening to podcasts like yours and interview series. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of information to get to know some of these people in the field. And especially if you live in a rural area where there aren't a lot of people living with Parkinson's, or you haven't found them yet. You haven't found your tribe. Yeah. There's a tribe online through all the foundations and through the work that you're doing and the work that Karl's doing. We're now in this age of Parkinson's where just by going on Google and typing in Parkinson's disease or living well with Parkinson's disease, you would find a plethora of what Brian Grant does. I mean, it's truly amazing. There's so much every day. There's so much information, which can be overwhelming at times, but there's a lot of good voices out there that can help you kind of craft your own way of living well with the condition.
And you've got to realize you have to we don't what applies to you and what doesn't apply to you, and and keep an open mind, but but also so
You have to be realistic.
Yeah.
You know, positivity, there's a lot to be said to being positive, that
It's a choice.
the positive about how you approach your condition. But then there are sometimes, unfortunately, everybody's gonna, you know, it's a chronic condition that continues to progress. But in the meantime, you know, try to live it the best you can, and don't feel like you just have to give up because you've been diagnosed with this condition, especially those that are diagnosed later in life. And the young onsets need to know that they can still live well and raise their families and continue to thrive while living with the condition as well.
And I always say, you don't fight Parkinson's. It's not a win-lose thing. It's you work around it. You adapt to it. But the windows and doors, you can go around some of these, some of your I'm very fortunate that I have a very slow progression. So
well, and I will say that, you know, the adaptations we made in life when we were first married are definitely different than the ones we make today. You know, we are, I would say that, you know, the efficacy of the medicines are not as great as they were when Karl was in his late 20s, you know, so we adapt our schedule to fit when he has on time and when he doesn't have on time. We've managed to navigate around some of the bumps in the roads, if versus, you know,
timing,
some of the cognitive changes, the change in executive function sometimes can be a challenge, but we find ways to work around it and to adapt to the way we live our lives.
Well, and luckily we live a life that we're flexible in a lot of our schedule, and so we can, as you said, adapt. If we wait 5 minutes, and it's
maybe 20.
Maybe 20 minutes. 20 minutes, sometimes an hour.
Yes, exactly.
but Parkinson's can be unpredictable at times, and you've got to be flexible and be patient, and
always looking for resources. That's the one thing I've learned as a care partner. You have to continually be looking for new tools for the toolbox, because there may be something that comes up that you just
a side effect or a symptom, but find
and that's when I reach out to my advisors, you know, whether it's a Karl's movement disorder specialist, neurologist, or I call a friend, or I reach out to social work friends to find resources, because that was one of the challenges. I lost my mom in January to lung cancer, and I feel for you, George. You know, I think she hid a lot about her condition as well. I think she didn't want to be a burden to me, and I lived out of state, and there were so many things, like I felt like I had tools in my Parkinson's toolbox that would apply to her, but it was so very difficult to not be able to utilize my whole toolbox, and dealing with the challenges and the choices that she made, and how to honor her choices and not try to dominate her healthcare. And that's a real challenge. And now I'm dealing with the grief side of that. You know, could have done more, could have not done more. Karl did so much for me during that time. That truly was one of those examples of care partnering, because, you know, it was him taking care of himself while I was at the hospital, you know, taking care of my mom. So it's I will say right now we're kind of coasting along, but you know, I'm not naive to the fact that there probably will be challenges in the future. But I'm hoping with my friends and my family and my Parkinson's friends and family, you know, we'll be able to meet those challenges.
Well, we send our love and support for your loss, but she's never forgotten. We'll make sure to dedicate today in her memory too.
Oh, thanks.
And the thing I love about both of you is a lot of things, but we don't have as much time as I want to talk about them all. But the one big one is we are a lot similar. you saw that there was a lack of resources and, you know, you didn't kind of just move on. You built a whole world of your own and Rob's world, Carl's, the Robb. And you might need to change the site now, but everyone please go to Karl Robb, that's 2bs.com. I just did it as you were talking. I subscribed, which I probably already did before, but now I'm subscribed twice. But
That's
you
okay.
just go here, you type in your email, takes a minute, and you'll be able to really see some of the most important updated information, in my opinion, in the Parkinson's community from both Angela and Karl. So I really appreciate you both for doing this. For all those out there who might feel alone like I did as a caregiver and my mother did, I was shocked to find out or even think about the other day. And I was kind of thinking back and then thinking of today, how many incredible people I've met, like both of you. My mother never met somebody with Parkinson's. Can you believe that? It kind of
Mm.
made me a little sad because now,
Um,
like, you know, with technology, I could have called both of you with a FaceTime. We would have had a few laughs and think she would have still been fighting, but she might have smiled for a moment knowing she wasn't alone. So that's really why I do this today and why I continue to, because I don't want anyone to ever feel alone, and anyone battling it like you two, you're never alone either. My family, again, I don't want anyone to go through what we did, but that's why we keep fighting. And I wanted to share everyone, if you are on Instagram, please add, follow like I do, and like both Robb and Angela. They have incredible Instagram, but I love it because it's real. You know, it's beautiful. I haven't cried yet on my show. I have had several guests cry. So I don't know why. I hope they weren't crying because of me, but yeah, I love your, you know, it's just amazing the talents you both bring, not just the motivation, dedication, but I love the photography too. And here you can see Karl and some beautiful photos, and
Thank
I'm
you.
a big animal lover. I love this. We actually,
Oh yeah,
we
Mr.
have
Blake,
a,
he's lying on the floor right over here. He's part of the interview. He just
We
doesn't.
have we have one too, but ours I wanted to get a, you know, it's just a golden doodle, right? I think, or it looks like it.
He's a Newfoundland
Oh,
doodle.
really? That's
Yeah.
beautiful. We have a golden doodle. I was picturing a big one, and we got like the little small toy looking one. But
He thinks
everyone,
he thinks he's the small toy looking one. He doesn't realize that he's so big.
It takes up a lot of the couch. Yeah.
And he loves all the small dogs. He thinks he's a small dog. So
well, I wrote an article lately. I'm writing another book on this, but there are so many positives, more positive, I think, to social media than there are a few unfortunate negatives. But I love the way that you both use it. I also love that you kind of, it's, you know, you are not new, but because you were going through this in the world of the revolution of social media, you've been able to really take a beautiful hold on that and use it for positive reasons. So I always like everything, and Cheryl, your interviews too every day. My dream is really have 1 million or two followers. I don't care if I have none. I just want everyone to know about all the work that you do. So thanks again.
well, and George, I will say too, the same thing goes to, for us. There's so many people that we've met in the community at conferences and World Parkinson Congress and regional conferences and national events. We used to advocate on Capitol Hill through the Parkinson's Action Network. And we've lost a lot of friends, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because of the condition or other health conditions. But, we really do carry them in our heart because they've made an impact on us. And if we can spread their message along with spreading our own, and we have a lot of friends that are, still very active in the community. You may not see them on social media, but they're the ones that are, helping people in their community find a doctor or get to the doctor's appointment or get food or find a way to pay for their medicines. I mean, there's tremendous amount of local, regional, national organizations who are really, the people in the trenches who are really trying to get the information and resources to our community. And we may not talk to them all the time, but we know they're out there because otherwise, the community would be so weak without them. And
We're lucky to have them. Yeah.
you can always reach out to us, and I'm sure always reach out to George. And that's one thing we try to tie people, even if they're not in our Virginia, DC, Maryland area, we try to tie them at least with someone that might be in their community to get them the help and the support that they need.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's, I would say it's like a broken record, but it's not broken. I think we have to be a family in the fight for a cure. I feel that together our voices are more stronger, our reach is much more important. We can all kind of go off on our own and do a good job, but it's just, in my opinion, it's not the same. So I appreciate again all that you both do.
Well,
thank
just
you.
like Dr. Oken, who I know you've interviewed, which is a fabulous interview. If
Yeah.
anybody, I encourage you to watch George interview with Dr. Oken. You know, he said there's so much more money is needed, different approaches are needed, different ways of rising above the disease. And while we're working for a cure, we need to find plenty of things to help people live well today. So.
Yeah.
I agree. I have now we get to I always say the fun part, but the whole thing's been so much fun. I don't know how this is just more fun, I guess. But this is where we kind of talk a
The
little bit about
funnest, yeah.
the both of you. So I don't we could probably rotate or just for time's sake, I would love to ask everyone everything, but we could start off, I guess, with Carl. Can you list 3 words that describe who you are?
3 words. Um, um, Positive, determined, quirky.
Love it. I always get different ones, and that's why I love this. Thank you. Neither of you can jump in any time, but what is one moment or one most memorable moment that stands out through most of your work with awareness you could share?
I'll just generalize it. I've had people come up to me and say, I don't, I have Parkinson's and I don't know what to do. And so I've had people, I've told people to get involved, and the few friends that I've told to get involved went skyrocketed to they went above and beyond what I thought they would ever do. That was very gratifying to see them come out of their shell and make some great impact.
And I'm always inspired by, as we went to Barcelona last year to the World Parkinson Congress, the really truly great work. It's an excellent conference that if you have the opportunity in 2026, it's going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. I encourage you to try to make that event, because all the seminars and sessions are great, but the true part is meeting people outside of the sessions and seminars and talking with them and networking and getting to know the people in the community, because that's a form of advocacy, I think, making those bonds and connections so that the network is stronger because we're all in this together.
I'm hoping I'll be able to make it. Unfortunately, I might be getting some other, things with my back, even looking into the spinal cord stimulator. So I don't know where this is heading, but hopefully by then I'll be good. But my dream is to give you both a hug. So
You got it.
I won't do it
Full
too tight.
reciprocate.
Is there a
You're going to be doing a lot of hugging there. I know you've interviewed a lot of people.
I'm gonna have to wear a brace to make sure. This is another important one, which interesting, always the response. Is there something you might have done differently looking back the past 10 years?
Um,
I'm a mindfulness person, and there probably would be stuff but honestly, I just want to keep moving forward and hopefully try to be as compassionate and, as you said, caring as I can be, and using those skills to pass that along and to try to make the community a better place, not just the Parkinson's community, but my general community, because there's a lot of work to be done on so many levels in our communities. So even just making, like you were saying before we started recording, just touching one person is good enough for me. So,
and I prefer to look forward and not look backwards. So I'm sure I made lots of mistakes, and I've learned from the big ones. And my hope is to avoid the ones that I've made, and make new ones.
Well, and we're Reiki practitioners, and one of the things that is in our kind of a mantra that we do, it's called the line is just for today. So I'm just trying to do the best I can for today.
I think you're both doing better than the best, so thanks. And who's your hero and inspiration?
Oh, I got a lot of them. I look something I listened to Yeah, and I have lots of them in Parkinson's, something I listen to is I listen to a gentleman, Earl Nightingale, who's no longer around, but he was the voice of business and spirituality, and some of his, you hear some a lot of stuff on Amazon Music, and it inspires me to hear his principle, his business principles, and his thought principles. And I try and listen to them. I'm listening more lately, and I really enjoy that. It's a very, very positive message.
Thank you.
And my inspiration is sitting right next to me. The fact that he gets out of bed every day and gets up with a positive attitude and gets dressed and takes on the day. And although I'm nagging him about taking his meds on time and drinking enough water and exercising, he puts up with my my nagging, or I call it cueing. He calls it nagging.
All love.
There's a mesh there somewhere.
Dr. Oken said we needed to have a whole segment on cueing versus nagging, but that's for another time.
That's a whole other discussion.
But he's my inspiration, George. He really is.
Me too. I'll join you.
Okay.
And if you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it? And I hope it's not nagging and
nagging versus cueing. Like Kramer versus Kramer. Yeah.
The ups and downs, up and downs of a shaky English major.
Beautiful.
It's been used, the road less traveled.
It's always a different road less traveled. And well, first, I just want to thank both of you for your time, your love, your friendship, and support. We send it right back to both of you and your whole family. We didn't have the time. I did want to make a little shout out to the people behind the scenes in your life who don't often kind of get the credit or are the face of the kind of awareness. So I want to send love to your families and everyone out there too, your advisor and everyone medically who support you, because they're all
care team. Yep, our care team.
More care things. Another one. But, if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be?
I think stay hopeful, stay positive. Do something for your mind, your body, and your spirit every day. Stay balanced. And trying to avoid anxiety as much as you can, and stress. If you do something for your mind, keep that balance of your mind, your body, your spirit, and that's.
The only thing I would add is notice the little things. Sometimes we get wrapped up in the big picture stuff, but honestly, it's the little things. It's what you said, caring for your family, hugging your kids or your grandkids or your loved ones, and don't lose that caring, compassion that you have for your loved one. Don't get so wrapped up in the care giving or care partnering that you forget about the lovely person that you're caring for, and then care for yourself. That really comes first, and then the rest will follow.
Well, thank you both. Please, everyone, go to Karl Robb, that's 2bs.com, and also support Angela through Instagram. I'm sure you could reach both of them if you reach out to one or to us, and I'll get you in touch. Please also support Karl and all the books that they're putting out, because they're really changing the world for the better. Do have one last message to you and everyone listening. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Angela and Karl, will advocate for you, and together I feel our voices are so much stronger. And I always not joke, but say at the end, I'm just getting started, because even though I've been doing it now for, it's sad to say, 5 years, every time I come across it, and it's not every day because it's very rare, but somebody like both of you truly inspires me to never give up. There are tough days I have, as you know. Might unfortunately be having to have a 5th surgery. Who knows what's happening with my back, but no matter what, the second I come out of anesthesia, have that phone fighting for a Parkinson's cure, because to me it's more important. And as you sadly know, Parkinson's disease doesn't take a break, so I don't think I should either. So just want to say, so grateful again for your friendship time. I feel there's much more to be done, and I know that together, fighting by each other's side, we'll someday have a cure at our doorstep. So I'm so grateful for the year that I've known you, for the future and for the past of all you've both done. You truly inspire me and my heroes, and just we're so excited, and now I'm even more excited that we can share this with the world. So thank you, Karl and Angela, for your time today.
And thank you, George,
George.
for your commitment and your
Yeah,
passion
yeah.
to the community and for us and all the people in our community. It's really an honor. It's our honor to be here.
Yes,
So
thank you.
thank you.
Feel free to contact us anytime.
I appreciate it, and I do hope to see you both in 2026 in Arizona. But everyone listening, thanks for joining us. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son, George. Remember to share this as many times as you can. I will. The conversation cannot end after this. It has to continue till we find a cure, till we find more research, and then we don't really need hope because it'll be at our doorstep. So really grateful again for both of you, for everyone listening. Till we meet again, but there's so much more work to do. And now together we're going to get it done. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
George.
George.